So our political panel's here. I'm so glad to say that. Democratic strategist and co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, Adam Green, and former Republican senior congressional aide, Rina Shah. Adam, I'm glad to have you here. It's great to have you. Give me your readout on where things stand. Yes, it's a messaging thing for Democrats in the Senate and the House on the extended Obamacare subsidies. Do you think there's any resolution between now and next week?
No. I think what you just said, what we thought we had here no longer exists, was actually symbolic of people's health care in America. And like it was jarring for you, it will be more jarring for them when they lose their health care or have to pay $15,000 more for it. I think that will be the dominant message coming across by Democrats in the next election. That being said, in the Beltway, I would offer a critique of Democrats at this moment as well. You know, if you think back to—
Which you're not shy about doing.
Not shy about doing when it's warranted. And, you know, if you think about the huge leverage that Democrats had during the government shutdown, even Donald Trump admitting that Democrats were winning the fight, big election victories, right then. And Chuck Schumer allowed his caucus to pull the plug for the promise of a vote this week, which failed. So we really got nothing at our best moment of leverage during the entire Trump administration. And that's, you know, a pox on their house as well.
Let me just put pressure on that a little bit. Should shutdowns be used for leverage?
Yes.
Okay. Rina, I'm sure you have thoughts.
Lots of thoughts on that, because we saw a double flop in the Senate because it was Democrats essentially who missed that moment for that 3-year ACA extension. I mean, it bombing at what, 51-48? That's no good for them. Where's the next opening? And then, of course, Republicans also bombed too. There was that HSA swap that they had that cratered, and they needed something like 60 votes for that, of course.
Which they both needed 60 votes, but the Democratic alternative got 4 Republicans to cross over, and the Republican idea had 1 Republican defection. So these are at the margins, but Democrats did a little bit better. Adam?
Yeah, I mean, look, who has the messaging win going into the next election if things remain the status quo? Democrats. Again, it's bad now. It will be even worse come January when people's health care bills go up $15,000. But again, I think when it comes to just leveraging D.C.
Because, see, the numbers is what the Republicans didn't have together. And this was also kind of really inside baseball on that HSA swap cratering, because they didn't want it to be highlighted, right? What they really wanted is the Democrats to look silly. And now, in essence, what we're going to see is the average American family is going to pay something like over $800 a year more. That's a really big problem. I don't know how Republicans message this when there's plenty of time for Democrats to come back and say, this was all your fault. There's only 19 days left before December 31st. How does it get solved? I don't think so. What I see here is that both sides are posturing for the midterms instead of compromising. And then they're not paying attention to states like Indiana, where about 300,000 people rely on these kinds of plans. How are they going to explain it?
Rina, we did not rehearse this during the break, but you just said Indiana. Thank you for saying that, because that sets up our next line of conversation, which what happened or didn't happen in the Indiana Senate yesterday. Under extreme pressure from the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, the Indiana Senate said, no, we're not going to draw new congressional lines. We're not going to redistrict, and we're going to defy the White House. But in the part of that conversation, I want to play, if we can, control room, warn me if we can't, sound from Mike Gaskill, who's a member of the Senate Republican caucus in Indiana, using some pretty inflammatory language about what the stakes of this conversation were. Please, let's listen.
These guys, I submit to you, have started a political war, and they intend to win. Do you have the will to fight back? You may not like the war analogies. I apologize if it offends anybody, but let me tell you, we've heard them talk about if you can't win your election on the merit of your ideals, you don't deserve to hold office. Look what the voters of Indiana have told the Democrat Party in recent years. But they're determined to win anyway. Do you have the will to stand in the gap and fight back? I'll submit to you even further, I'll double down on the war analogy. I'm going to submit to you that the second U.S. Civil War has already started. They're just fighting it with surrogates.
The second U.S. Civil War has already started, Adam?
I don't know about that.
Let's hope not.
But it says
revisit the history. It's awful.
You know, we're not used to having Republican on Republican or Republican on Trump action these days. And we mentioned leverage in the first part of the segment. And what it turns out is that when the economy's down, when Trump's popularity is down, even Republicans in the super red state of Indiana are willing to cross him, right? Specifically, when Donald Trump cuts people's health care to give tax cuts to billionaires, people in Indiana are like, that's not good, and Republican politicians
Rina,
feel the pressure.
One of the bravest moments, I just cannot stop watching what I saw come out of there. This was 21 Republicans. That's more than, I believe, a third of their supermajority. And those people joined 10 Dems to kill it. They shrugged off death threats, pipe bomb scares.
Doxing.
And even Trump's ex-rants, which vowed primary bloodbaths. That is no joke. I want people to understand that. This is not just a Hoosier headache. It is a gut punch to the national gerrymander wars. As somebody who fought for fair maps in Virginia, my heart skipped a beat.
Adam Green and Rina Shah, thank you very, very much.